Talkback time and Vikes Bites time. Welcome back to the 9 to noon presentation on FM 100.3 KFAN. At the bottom of the hour, the 9 to noon approach to filling out NCAA tournament brackets while rarely watching college basketball. We truly hope it helps. I actually have won 2 NCAA tournament pools, and as I will share at that time, the last time I won them, Al Horford, Torian Green, and Joakim Noah.
There we go.
We're stealing the show for them Gators, and I think they were beating Greg Oden, maybe Mike Conley, but Scooney Penn with the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Well, a little spoiler alert for you then, because one thing I'm going to talk about, there's a nostalgia element to this PA when you're filling out the bracket and you're thinking about 20 years ago when you hit that bet, when that bracket paid off. You're thinking about when you were a kid and it was Hawkeye Whitney, so you're always throwing NC State into the mix. Nostalgia into your bracket building.
Well, yes. I played with Dylan here at 5 a pop. I played 4 of them. I have the same team winning 2 times. So I have the same team winning half of them. And there is a nostalgic local tie to why I picked this team in half my brackets to win.
Really?
And we will share that about 30 minutes from now, maybe 25. But for now, we requested talkbacks, given a 9 to noon text and talkbacks talks back with the listeners more than people know. And also Vikes Bites provided by
Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef. And you can shop online. A box of meat shows up at your doorstep. You can learn about why it's so darn good as well. Regenerative agriculture. It's nutrient dense. It's a Minnesota company. Matt and everybody love you guys. And you can pick them up. Coburn's, Kowalski's, and local co-ops as well. They are proud sponsors of Gophers Athletics. Sadly, Gophers not in the NCAA tournament, but we will find our way through it regardless. To the talkback machine, because it is Vikes Bites. All you have to do, free iHeartRadio app, you hit that microphone if you're listening to the KFAN channel. Give us up to your best 30 seconds. I grabbed a handful of them. Let's rock.
Hey, Robert from Apple Valley.
Hey.
My only question is, if we're not signing Rodgers, what are we doing with all this cap space?
Ooh.
Like,
Taking everybody out to lunch.
20-plus million for the season, generally speaking.
Wow.
So what's up with that?
Yeah.
Wow, how quickly worms turn. I mean, we go from the nickels and dimes between couch cushions to rundown people like Josh Klein.
Yeah.
To now, they bring in 100 free agents. People like all of them. You happen to have the audacity to have some proverbial chip saved.
Yep.
Well, we got to go down to 0. We have to max that credit card, Kwesi. What are we doing? What else are we doing?
So when I heard that talk back, I was digging into it a little bit because he has a point. Typically, as we've talked about it each year, we're redoing deals, right? And there are levers. Gessling wrote about this a month and a half ago. The levers the Vikings could pull on various contracts, kind of low risk, or not low risk. I mean, just low impact stuff that just, converting to signing bonuses here, there, and anywhere. But if you look into 2026, the Vikings actually, as of now, I believe, from a cap commit standpoint, are like $9 million over the cap.
What?
I might punch him in the face.
As certain guys, they jump from that $5 million cap number to like 18 and 20. So what I was looking at, because it'll cost, and we've talked about it, $5-6 million to make sure all the rookies are in the house and they got all their contracts taken care of.
Yep.
There is the ability. So you have to spend, the cap floor is 89% of the salary cap.
Jeez.
And you also have to spend over a 4-year period 95% of your cap.
So you can't if you're Mark Davis, who may have the least money of all owners in the National Football League, or if you're like the Spanos family and the Chargers, or the Rooneys, who just sit on some money, then you just can't sit on it. Let that thing build up to like $900 million.
Right, and you're
that'd be sweet.
Well, and the NFL, they get like a check for $400 million every spring. So I don't know if they need to sit on nickels and dimes from a cap standpoint. But what I was getting to with that, so let's say you sign the rookies, maybe signings moving forward in free agency. More that, low impact veteran QB, and we'll pick through some spots here moving forward in Vikes Bites. but you can roll that unused cap into the next year. Again, spend to the floor, the 89%, but then you can roll 100% of those unused dollars into 2026.
Yep.
What if there's an element to this where it's like, okay, good foundation, we got some draft picks coming, undrafted free agents, veteran QB, but if we have $10, $15 million that we can push into 2026, we're already getting ahead on what is perceived to be a cap conundrum a year from now. So I'm curious, again, working on that long-term plan. You know how Kwesi operates, emotionless, dollars and cents. How do we make this plan work? Maybe they're holding on to some of that in anticipation of future cap constraints.
Beautifully explained. I think I completely get it now.
Can you repeat the part of the stuff where you said all about the things?
Vikes Bites.
Vikes Bites and Talkbacks.
Hey, Paul Nordo. Speaking as a lifelong Vikings fan, after dealing with years of heartbreak and disappointment, I think I can comfortably say that we, the fans, deserve to have a fairy tale ending when it comes to winning our first Super Bowl. And by that I mean we roll out our own quarterback who we developed ourselves, and that is J.J. McCarthy. Let's go make history with this kid. Skol, baby.
Homegrown honors. I like that. And I'm sorry that I was a little distracted there. I'm just really, really happy for Packers running back Josh Jacobs that, you know, he finally got his request when he went public and said, we ain't got no number one receivers. We need to get a number one receiver. And Green Bay acquiesced. Went out and got Mecole Hardman.
Why don't you put your pants back on, Slappy?
Well, I wanted to post last night. I said, they got 5 number ones now. Can't wait for LaFleur to roll that one out.
Yeah, I'm sure Josh is happy right now.
Vikes Bites. People pumped about the kid. There's no doubt about that. Free agency rolls on. Talkback machine engaged.
Hey guys, Scott up here in Duluth. Long-time listener, first-time talkbacker. Your show is great. Love it.
Thank you.
What's your guys' take on corners? I feel like we just need some good corners.
Oh, we need some good corners, you say. Some corners. Well, looking at the depth chart, PA, as it stands now, you hit on it, attacking the position with Isaiah Rodgers early on in free agency last week. You talked about that during the open hour. Mekhi Blackmon expected to be healthy post-injury. Byron Murphy Jr., you re-up him, only $35 million guaranteed. I mean, they're paying Derek Stingley $30 a year. I feel like the Vikings got a pretty good dollar on Murph's contract. You have Dwight McGlothern. You bring in Tavier Thomas. You have Najee Thompson, who's definitely special teams focused. If he's playing corner, Flores might have a problem. But then, former first-round pick Jeff Okudah into the mix. Now, show us, please, what you can do, Jeff Okudah.
What you can do, Jeff Okudah.
We got Jeff Okudah in the mix. Now, show us, please, what you can do, Jeff Okudah.
I rule.
In all seriousness, I really am glad that he brought that up via the talkback, because that is kind of the what's next. Now the boring talker is dead, as you put it in the open. But this team still has an opportunity to get better. It still has a couple of bucks to spend in rounding out the roster. Mm-hmm. And looking at things, guns for hire, the Stephon Gilmores, the Shaq Griffins are still available. I've seen Mike Hilton's name bandied about, most recently with Cincinnati. May have been a Steeler a few years ago as well. I don't know. Chidobe Awuzie, the James Bradbury, Roswell Douglas. I mean, I could rattle through all of these names.
We good.
But you get it. The idea of what's next and potentially what's more to come at a position like the secondary and corner specifically.
We good. And by the way, can I hear the Okudah stab again?
Sure. Now, show us, please.
I love this part.
What you can do, Jeff Okudah.
And what you can do. Man, we're stabbing more than Michael Myers.
I always love that one.
All right, I'm good. And if they sign, it's like with Griffin and Gilmore. Okay, now they signed them later than the ones that have been signed now. They're older than the ones that have been signed now. Now I've touched on this a couple of times, but I guess I'll get a little more loud about it. I love the Isaiah Rodgers signing, and that's not looking at any All-22 or getting any steam on Isaiah Rodgers. It's just feeling free agency vibes for decades.
Yeah.
And knowing when you get somebody in that first wave, it generally is, okay, you like him. How many years? What'd you pay? What's it set you back? Well, Rodgers didn't cost a lot, yet he was identified in that first wave of free agency like it's absolutely Brian Flores being like, we have to have him. We have to have this guy. We are sitting on some untapped talent here. So ain't nobody going to break the bank with Isaiah Rodgers. But they got him in that first wave. So they didn't have to deal with other teams trying to mess with the mix. So I like Isaiah Rodgers a lot because I like the coaching staff here a lot. I like Byron Murphy Jr. a lot, and I trust him. And so now you have with that, you have Okudah, and you have the draft, and you still have money to have the opportunity to find one of those names that you rattled off. And by the way, Dwight McGlothern is somebody they do like.
Nudie.
Nickname Nudie. But McGlothern, well, he made the team last year. So, I mean, when you're undrafted and you make the team, well, as the kids would say, you're in the chat. So the progression with him should take place. I don't know if it's reliable enough to play him. But nevertheless, top 4, top 5 for McGlothern, who would have to do well in special teams. Now, Okudah, Rodgers, Byron Murphy Jr., Mekhi Blackman, and Nudie. I mean, that's a quintet right there where if it ends like that, I wouldn't be surprised.
I have to ask you this, and where did it just... Okay, I'm completely lost in the text machine here. 64686. Oh, here we go. Found it. Derek in St. Paul. The reason I bring this up, this isn't about mitigating Derek's opinion of any sort. Yep. But I have seen this a lot, and on a daily routine of maybe asking you a stupid question or two, I'm going to ask you this. Here's the text. PA, how about you trade Addison and the 24th pick for Sauce Gardner?
Yeah.
And this is what gets me because I've seen a bunch of this out there. Mm-hmm. It seems unlikely Addison re-signs with Vikings. Now, he's entering his 3rd year. We got him under contract for 4. And a year from now, we'll be talking about the 5th-year option on him. So there's still various things that need to be worked out. Mm-hmm. I have seen that a bunch, though. Addison, no chance Addison re-sign. Am I missing something?
No, here's what happened. And I thought I was missing something, too, over the weekend when I had time to research stuff like this. There was something that was put out about it was false. Okay. And it wasn't even a big site or something, but it caught fire. People picked up on it. People started thinking about it. And at that time, the Vikings were more cornerback needy than they are now. So Sauce Gardner even responded to the tweet.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah, with kind of like where'd this come from?
All right.
So, so I started thinking about it a little bit. Would I be in favor of it?
I mean, would I like Sauce on my team? Well, that's easy.
Right.
What goes into it?
Would I like the 24th? And do I like Jordan? Well, it's yes on both of those.
Right.
Now, Jordan, it would be too strong to call him enigmatic. Okay. But the sleeping in the car thing, potential suspension coming, Jordan can be a high-end player, very much on the quiet side. And he complements Jefferson in a way that gives you a legitimate 1-2 punch. Legitimate 1 and 1A there. So on a team that's going to be heading into a season with an inexperienced quarterback, a fortified offensive line with the fortification and more troops potentially coming in the draft, it doesn't make sense to jettison an extremely key piece to that equation right now. If it did, Cooper Kupp would be on this team. And with all due respect, Cooper's not as good as Jordan at this stage of Cooper's career. So the proverbial dominoes did not fall away to even really think about it. Having Sauce Gardner on the team.
Okay, yeah.
When you rush from the edge the way they rush, that's proven. We've seen it. So it's not faith-based. We've seen it. Now you look at the past performances of the likes of Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave. Well, that gives you that gives you flexibility with what you have, what you need, or what you can do on the back end, as they say in the business, with corners and safeties, when you believe you're going to rush the heck out of the quarterback from all angles. And you may not have to blitz as much as you did previously. So that takes pressure off corners. Now, nobody's going to turn down Sauce Gardner. Okay, Sauce is the bomb. They don't even throw his way, man. They always went to DJ Reed. So I got a lot of respect for Sauce Gardner. But it's the type of corner they are coveting. And we've mentioned this before. Byron Murphy Jr., when he gets right up on you in man defense, quite good at it. Well, that's what Isaiah Rodgers does. I mean, that's like where he's at his strongest is man-to-man defense. And Jeff Okudah, skeletal remains thereof potentially because of those injuries. Well, he's strong, and he's and with Okudah, it causes me to hearken to a couple of years ago where Darius Slay just absolutely mugged Justin Jefferson at the line of scrimmage, week 2 of the regular season. He just really got under his skin, man, and Justin became apoplectic. Well, the next week, the Vikings played the Lions. I think it was the KJ Osborne walk-off game. Well, Jeff Okudah did the same thing. I mean, now he got beat a few times because, he was coming off injury, having missed basically 2 years. But Okudah saw the Slay tape, and he's like, well, I can do that. And he did it.
Yeah.
And he really, really got into Jefferson at the line of scrimmage, kind of changed the game a little bit. So that's how Jeffrey plays. That's how Rodgers plays. That's how Murphy plays. So I see the common thread here. Now you just got to get Okudah right physically, make sure he's cool that way. And Rodgers will be getting, absolutely the greatest opportunity he's had of his young career. And they have to be right. But see, I think they're convinced they're going to be right because they didn't wait around for it.
Yep.
He didn't go into that Chidobe Awuzie Onwuzurike and or Mike Hilton pot, and you just pick a name out and sign the guy on a 1-year deal.
Levi, come over here.
They identified Rodgers early in the process. That's a very, very, very important facet of this conversation. When they got him, and why did they get him so early? It's so they didn't have to deal with other teams messing with him.
Yeah.
I have to believe they love him. I mean, not like him. I have to believe Flores, Durante Jones, the DB's coach, somebody over there is in love with Isaiah Rodgers.
And there's just one thing left to do if you're Jeff Okudah. Now, show us, please.
Show us, please.
What you can do, Jeff Okudah.
Oh, that's so fat. That's so sweet.
Vikes Bites brought to you by Thousand Hills. Oh, hey.
That kind of turns me on, actually, because I like the band Heart. And I like that bass and the Jeff Okudah.
Well, I'm glad you like it. That was not my original intention.
I understand that.
Okay.
As stabs turn me on. I'm of the macabre variety sometimes.
To the talkbacks.
Hey, PA. Nordo.
Hi.
Given we brought in Rondell Moore and he left the building, it doesn't seem like he's coming here.
Probably not.
But that gives me a reason to believe we're trying to bring in a veteran option at wide receiver.
Okay. Tim Jones.
I have no reason to believe this, but do you think there'd be any interest in Tyler Lockett?
There we go.
I think he'd be a good veteran guy to have, especially considering the probable suspension of Jordan Addison. Thanks.
Well, now that, the Minnesota Vikings have been beaten on a wide receiver who clearly fulfills the game-changing number 1 wide receiver request by Josh Jacobs in Mecole Hardman. They potentially.
Whatever shall we do?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. They might have to be done. Honestly, if you
a little greedy if you're Green Bay, to be honest.
3-2 because of aggregator terrorism. Yours truly has no intel the Vikings ever were interested in Mecole Hardman. We are running a bit because we are bit raised. Why? We used to be AM 1130 KFAN. Now we're FM 100.3 KFAN, the bit running leader. All right, 3-2. Lockett, I've always liked his game. Fell off last year, but that's because Smith and Jigba only plays out of the slot.
Yep.
Now Tyler's. Tyler had some slot machine to him. You can put him outside the numbers a little bit, but he's not at his best there. And Smith and Jigba is all slot. So therefore, given Seattle doesn't go 4 wide, 2x2 set with a running back or really an empty backfield or however they want to set it up, Lockett's reps got cut last year. So the next move was Lockett getting cut.
Yeah.
With Rondale Moore, there could be a tell there. I like the way the talkbacker went with that. But Rondale Moore, you can bring people in and just vet them out and be like, hey, we're not necessarily in need of this, but there's some things about him I've always liked. You vet him out, didn't work, he left, went to Chicago, something happened there, he left, and now he's meeting with the Jets today.
Yeah.
So the proverbial writing seems to be on the wall for old Rondale Moore.
Yeah, and I hate to dagger him like this because, you hope a kid like that gets another chance in the NFL, and he probably will. But he did destroy his knee just last summer. So that's where I've been from since minute one.
That's right.
The vetting process of where are you at health-wise? And if we're going to bring you in, we're kind of looking for a guy that's ready. By OTAs. Are you going to be ready? And if you're the Bears, you're thinking about replacing Keenan Allen, who is a...
Right.
So that...
Keenan's still available.
Keenan's available. Ooh. Amari Cooper's out there.
Hey, Keenan, though.
I have this weird fascination with Brandon Cooks. He's had 1,000 yards for 4 different teams. Yep. He's garnered almost as many picks and trades as Laramie Tunsil has.
Yeah.
There's just something about that skill set that he has that he's... Made a lot of plays for a lot of different teams, but
I'd wonder why he always is jumping teams.
I know. Yeah, it's weird. From the Saints and the Rams, he was there just the year before KO showed up in 2020. So
Keenan Allen, though.
Keenan's
a badass, man.
Can't he go for 215 and throw a 50-yard touchdown for the Vikings instead of constantly doing those things against the Vikings?
Always.
That'd be nice, but I'm totally with that talk back in terms of that is a position where I would expect some name to emerge in the coming weeks.
Well, what do you have? You have JJ, you have Addison, you have Naylor, and that's it. I mean, Thayer Thomas and, some other ancillary type names.
Lucky Jackson, not Tristan, as I mistook last week.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, Lucky and Thayer, they've been around for a while.
Wolf of Walk-Ons, Thayer Thomas.
I mean, if we're talking 4 and or 5 spots here, one of them absolutely can fill one of those spots because it just, we need to be reminded, if you're a vested veteran and you're on the roster week 1, you get paid for the entire season. So it's like, okay, let's dabble with Tyler Lockett and see if he fits in. Let's have him on the roster week number 1. Now we're cool without it, because we're going to run with Mason, run with Jones, stroke the post with TJ. Well, now all of a sudden you got to pay him for the whole year.
Yeah.
So all of that's being bandied about right now, though.
One more talk back before we go. Thank you again to everybody for sending these in.
It's awesome.
Free iHeartRadio app. Hit that microphone.
Hey, PA. Lance the Garbage Man here from Minneapolis. I think the biggest glaring need on this team right now, obviously, is going to be outside cornerback. With that being said, I like what they did with the defensive line. I believe that creating pressure on the interior and on the defensive line itself masked a lot of inefficiencies at defensive back. I also like the depth that they brought in with Eric Wilson at linebacker. Thanks again. Have a good day.
Yeah, hold on, my guy. You didn't hear the stab? Now, show
us. Yes. Turn me on.
You can do Jeff Akuda. Oh, we're all good. We're all good at corner.
Show him good.
He's neat, and we talked about it because he was brought in last week, Eric Wilson. That does it feel like that fills out the depth at the linebacker spot?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of same 3 names. Yes. It's Pace and Cashman and Asamoah.
Yes.
And then Eric Wilson becomes special teams and kind of the Kamu Grugier Hill spot. So.
Jeff Akuda. Well, I would not loudly or big percentage-wise respectfully disagree with what we just heard via the talkerbacker. And yes, is you're bringing in another corner or drafting one or a safety. I believe that could happen and probably should happen. But I'm following these croutons that are leading us to this big old chef salad. The chef being Kwesi on the Kwesi train with the offensive lineman. Let's not forget Kelly had 3 different injuries last year and didn't finish the season. Fries broke a bone. Okay, O'Neill's in the second half of his career. Darasaw is coming off an ACL. Other than that, Miss Lincoln, how was the play? So I think I'm not going to call it a weakness. I think the right play is continuing to fortify the offensive line.
I like it.
And that includes the 24th overall pick in the draft. Whether the guy starts or not, let the chips fall where they may. So I don't call it a weakness, but I trust the rush here a ton, specifically with the way Flores wants to play corner. So I like what they have now. Will they add to it? I would imagine. This team's good with college free agents. Keep that in mind. And offensive line, I'm all in on the Minnesota Moving Company right now.
Yeah.
After with Kelly and Fries, after they make those moves, they laid it out for us what they think is important. Defensive line, too, ain't no doubt about that. But
if they can still improve at guard, I'm 100% in on what that means, whether it's another veteran face or, even at 24. Let's continue to beef up.
Yeah, I'm, with the draft prep really starting to begin heavily now that the other boring, repetitive buzzkill's done. I'm looking for position flexibility. I'm looking for guards who play center, centers who play guard, and they can play them both at a high level. That's where I am now, with the right to change the opinion a month and change from now. What do you mean? You didn't talk about Anthony Barr one time for 3 months. How are you going to say that? That's just how it works in the old neighborhood, my friends. 10:31, you're listening to 9 to noon on KFAN.
It just drives me absolutely batty.
Oh, what does?
It's March Madness, PA.
Yeah, it is. The basketball team, all hail the Hal, back in action this evening. Wild back in action this evening. NCAA tournament begins tomorrow. And on the aforementioned first two subjects, news do Nords around the corner. But as there's a PA in public service announcement. So yearly, we like to share the 9 to noon approach to filling out NCAA tournament brackets while rarely watching NCAA basketball. We hope this helps. Yours truly played 4 brackets with main man Dylan here in the iHeart family. I have Auburn winning 2, Florida winning 1, and Memphis winning 1. And here's why. Let's start here. I caught wind Auburn stud John I. Broome and his father loved the Minnesota Vikings and listened to the games on the radio. So naturally, that's going to be the top dog in half my brackets. You got John I. Broome, who could be a guest 9 to noon here in the relative near future, and his dad. Love the purple, and they love listening to the games on the radio. Go Auburn, go Tigers. They get half of my pools as the top dog. Auburn Tigers. Who knew?
Well, for me, see, I'm looking at it. I'm heavy on who's going to win the tournament. I'm on Auburn. I'm on Florida. And much like you, what you do is you find a guy who you respect who is shoving in on a certain team, and you just mirror that.
Right.
So that's what I've done with Auburn and Florida. But I take things a little bit differently. For me, when I'm digging into the brackets.
So you're telling me the 7 seconds I told you, Poopy Dave watches more college basketball than us and absolutely loves Florida, led to the shove-in? Because it did for me.
Yeah, I have 5? I have 5 or 6 ESPN brackets right now. I added a Florida one to the mix.
Yeah.
Can't pick Duke. That's just a philosophical thing. But as a 1 seed, Cooper Flagg potentially back in the mix into the weekend. That matters. But for me, I like to dig into it. Let's kind of pull this apart just from who's going to win. Who are the 12s that I like? Every
Seahawks fan to ever exist.
The 12 seeds are lethal in this tourney. So what I like to do is I like to find the 4 12s and blindly pick 2 of them to advance.
Oh, yeah.
Have I watched UC San Diego? No. But I heard yesterday they've never had an NBA player. What if this year's the difference, PA? What if this year is the difference?
Right.
UC San Diego is going to upset the Big Ten champion Michigan Wolverines.
Oh my gosh.
Well, see, what's interesting there is we can flip it completely to the other side because this is the 9 to noon approach to filling out NCAA tournament brackets while rarely, if ever, watching college basketball.
Correct.
If you Google best NCAA tournament sleepers, UC San Diego is all over the place.
Oh my God.
I mean, you talk about a chic sleeper.
Different routes, same results.
Steamy sleepers rarely win. So this super special Tritons bit, I think, are done game one. That's the beauty of 9 to noon.
And then why wouldn't I on the other side? Okay, if you don't know anything about a team, is there potentially a player? Well, I know Malik Willis played for Liberty.
Right.
Well, Liberty's a 12 seed facing Oregon. I'm fanning the flames of Liberty upsetting the Ducks.
Why not?
Big Ten taking L's in the 12-5. So I always just blindly pick 2 12 seeds to move on because it feels like at least 2 do every year.
Right. And I mean, polling, like, Liberty is a Christian university, and we are Christians. So therefore,
we root for Liberty.
And Grand Canyon University.
I'm in favor of the concept in liberty in general.
But the problem is the book of Revelation teaches the world is run by evil. So therefore, the Christian universities are not permitted to advance for whatever the reason. So I dagger them in round number 1. Liberty, I like that.
Why am I not finding GCU on here right now?
Oh, they're on there. Just you better don't miss them because they're going to be gone here in a minute. Let's see.
I must have crossed them out.
Left side of the.
Oh, there they are. Yeah. They're facing the Terps.
Yeah, Maryland. I mean, seriously, you talk about evil. Holy cow! Never had a chance. Grand Canyon University never had a chance.
Well, what about this?
Mm-hmm.
Checking out the Timberwolves roster and figuring out where the players went to school.
Love it.
Randall and Dillingham, Kentucky Wildcats.
Yeah.
New coach, a couple of years removed from getting bounced as a 2 seed with a 15 upset. Kentucky's moving on. And they're going to beat that sharpshooting Illini squad that Parker was talking about. Kentucky, because of Randall and Dillingham and the new coach.
How about that?
They're going to the Sweet 16.
Wow.
You mentioned Memphis. What about Mighty Minot? What about Josh Minot's mighty Memphis squad?
I got Memphis winning a bracket.
Well, that conflicts with my 12 seed vibe, so I have to have Memphis beating Colorado State. See, this is how you put all these factors together. Rudy's French. That was tough. Couldn't include him. Ant went to Georgia. Got to be honest. Love Ant. I'm in on Zaga. But where did they go to school?
You mean Georgia?
Georgia, excuse me. I'm in on Gonzaga, who will beat them. But Bones Highland. Don't sleep on VCU. Okay, that's all I'm going to say.
We still got Bones?
VCU's finest. We're going to go with VCU in the first round.
Now, the college basketball I have watched with one of my dear friends, the Preacher, who's from Tennessee. His favorite team is the Kentucky Wildcats, and he's into the Wildcats the way we're into the Vikings. All right, now, that's good and bad. Having watched Kentucky several times, with all due respect, not great, and a 3 seed. I mean, all their key players always get hurt.
Yeah.
So I think the Wildcats either lose to Troy game 1 in a massive upset, or they lose the next one.
I always love that one.
I have Florida winning in one of my 4 because the last time I won a tourney pool, it was secured by Al Horford, Torian Green, and Joakim Noah. Old school, best school. So Florida is top dog in one of my brackets. Just this last Monday, Parker Fox said Illinois can really shoot it well. So I have them not shooting it well in 3 of them, but I have them shooting it well in 1 of them and advancing at least 2 games, Parker Fox, though.
Have you ever done this? I got 100 ideas. All of them are not great, but I'm going to end with this on my end at least. Have you ever filled out a bracket just blatantly based on their Ken Pom ratings? Have you ever done that? Have you ever gone just pure nerd? Well, it's nerdery in the stats combined with relying on an actual hardworking source to provide the intel for you.
Well, I like that.
I'm not opposed to that.
Pomeroy flies in the face of the Associated Press Top 25, right?
In some ways it does.
He has his own rankings, right? The KenPom bit.
Yeah, for instance, again.
Oh, that's nice.
Philosophically, as anti-Duke as I might be, and I'm not anti-Duke. Actually, I've picked them many times over the years. But Duke, number 1 in the KenPom. So logic would dictate if we're going to roll straight KenPom to the finish line, Cooper flag and the Blue Devils will be hoisting the beautiful NCAA championship trophy.
I watched Memphis oust UAB Sunday flying home from Denver. Watched almost the entire game. Fell in love. And I have them advancing to a spot they lose to Auburn because Auburn's best player and his dad love the Vikings. That's the 9 to noon approach to filling out a bracket. I have Memphis getting to would it be the Final Four, the Elite 8? But I got Memphis winning a bunch of games up in this mug. St. John's last was fresh when Chris Mullen played there.
Yeah.
They'll win one game, and that's it.
Wow, Patino's team out in the second round. I love it.
Couldn't care less. I'd rather listen to Shaka Khan than think Shaka Smart still is a hot item. Marquette done early. Duke goes far because it's Duke, and that's just how it is. And that's the 9 to noon approach to filling out NCAA tournament brackets when you don't watch NCAA basketball that frequently. Fan the Flames, let's go Liberty. So I have Auburn winning in 2 of them, Florida winning 1, and Memphis winning in another. Hope that helps. It's 9 to noon.
What up? It's News to Nord, brought to you by The Casino at Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com. Poker, blackjack, and table games all year round. Feeling the felt, having sips at chips, tipping Derek Allen well. And then you're waiting to hit some pick fives with Dave's faves during racing season. You're probably getting the hint here. Canterbury Park is the best. So start at CanterburyPark.com for all event details.
Son is working there right now. Chips Bar, Card, Casino. Tip bountifully, please.
Oh, man. How about that? You just hit the table, do a little 3-6, and then grab a sip from... Oh, that's terrific.
You've got all the tricks, man. That's beautiful.
Shout out to Derek Allen right now. But from my Canterbury Park family to my Vikings family, my favorite team, and some news percolating this morning where .com Tom, also Tom Pelissero, NFL Network, one of the best insiders in the game. And we will continue this conversation into the final hour, of course. But the quarterback spot, some clouds over it for some, for many, the fan base wondering, okay, is this real? Can we get some finality to it? Well, here's Tom Pelissero with the power trip this morning, kind of daggering that the QB conversation as it is right now for the Vikings.
The upshot of what I reported this morning is the Vikings have gotten trade calls about J.J. McCarthy based on everything that's been out there publicly and in the media. They have rejected those trade calls on J.J. McCarthy. And what they've told other teams is, we're moving forward with J.J. McCarthy as our quarterback. They still intend and plan to add a veteran quarterback, whether that's through free agency or the draft, and they believe there are options there. But they are not pursuing Aaron Rodgers at this time. J.J. McCarthy is entering the offseason as QB1. This is something that's not just about 2025. It's about 2026, 27, beyond. This is a guy you believe can be your franchise quarterback. What's the best way to set him up and make sure that he's getting maximum exposure, maximum opportunities to grow into that type of a role? You know, Kevin O'Connell and Aaron Rodgers have known each other for like 15 years. They're both from California. They've been talking since they were both NFL players. And so Minnesota's a place that quarterbacks want to come. And when a 4-time NFL MVP says, hey, I'd like to play there, you'd be derelict in your duties as the coach or the GM or anyone else with the organization to not sit back and go, okay, let's at least have this discussion.
So that's Tom, and the way that you've been speaking of it really since the middle of last week has kind of been in that vein. It's now we hear from Tom Pelissero, and now we're rolling forward with J.J. McCarthy. The idea of they still have plans or intentions will address the QB spot from a veteran backup. I've seen whether it's Gessling. Others have promoted, Joe Flacco's name's going to come up a little bit. Gessling in particular with Tannehill. I've heard that from Gessling a bunch. But there might not be a rush to do that, right? I mean, so this is all settled. I've also read a bit on the idea of if we're worried about compensation, comp picks in the future, that not doing anything now would potentially play into benefiting on that side of things, how that ledger plays out.
Well, then that's going to happen.
So maybe that's going to happen. Maybe that's part of it too. So in the end, Rodgers rumors stifled, stymied, and snuffed out. And now it's J.J. McCarthy season.
You know what?
And maybe it always has been J.J. McCarthy season.
What interests me more than that farcical, boring, repetitive talker is, why did you let me use Norman Powell last night? I mean, I even texted you. I was perplexed in the first round of the playoffs. All I'm trying to do is upset the defending champion.
Yeah,
as a 7 seed. Okay. Yeah. Why did you let me use Norman Powell? I mean, why didn't you at least get into Normie's box scores a little bit, having come back from injury and played 2? I mean, he started last night. He played 18 minutes. He played 18 minutes in a high-scoring game and didn't even get in foul trouble.
Oh, no.
Why didn't you talk me out of Uncle Normie?
That is an awful game that he had last night.
I think that was because you fear the funk in round 2.
No, but hey! No offense to you.
Yeah.
I think I match up. I think I actually do match up better with the defending champ right now than I match up with you. Funk is tough.
You swept me this year. Stop being so kind.
Funk is getting funky right now.
Okay. Now, look, I'm going to root for Donovan Mitchell to get 2 consecutive rest days when you need them if you don't stop placating me.
I just finally got healthy. I got
you're
PJ
not a
Washington
friend.
back.
Yeah, you're not a friend. A friend helps people and says don't use Uncle Normie when he plays 18 minutes second off a layoff.
No, the stupid thing about, and Kawhi Leonard fans, those that just love the association, Norman Powell has been water in the desert from scoring for the Clippers this year with the way that they utilize now, even now that he's healthy. They brought Ben Simmons in, which is just effectively to weigh the bench down.
Yeah.
Chris Dunn, of all people, getting tons of run in the starting 5 even.
Yeah.
That whole thing is weird outside of Harden, right? And Zubats.
Right.
Zubats is probably having the best year of his career.
He is.
Norman Powell should be getting you 25 points a night.
Played 18 minutes.
And at least double the shot attempts, 3 of 6. Where was he?
How do you start and play 18 minutes? I mean, seriously. And if he's the metaphorical water in the desert, well, then that means he's the staff. Yeah. He hit the rock and water didn't come out. The staff broke.
I always love that one.
Yeah, you needed a few triples from him because you took the risk. You played 2 more games than your opponent now.
I know.
And you're still 4 down in triples.
Yeah, I know.
We need more boards. You're good in assists. Steals. It's over in blocks. He doesn't steal very well.
You know what?
I think you're going to 5-3 this guy.
I hope 3 players come back for the Sixers and Quentin Grimes never plays again.
How about that?
Okay. So, PJ, you can go ahead and get hurt again. And, all right, we'll let the chips fall where they may. Norman Powell, seriously.
You know what?
Come on, man.
Part of good teams, there's some skill. It's how you put the team together, and then there's a little bit of luck.
Oh, cool. Now I'm all of a sudden doing the show with Pat Riley.
Because Quentin Grimes was just a waiver wire ad, see if I could get a couple of steals and assists and maybe a triple out of him. And that entire team has imploded. Meanwhile,
I didn't know Jeff Van Gundy produced 9 to noon.
My guy De'Aaron Fox out for the year, some phantom pinky related L, and Quentin Grimes is scoring 40 a night. So the con artist, even the con artist gets lucky once in a while. Let's talk for a couple of minutes about our favorite basketball team. Not the Clippers, although there's going to be a transition point, PA, where I think we do need to start digging into these teams in the West.
Oh, you think?
As the NBA playoffs,
sounds good.
Let's
I'm in.
Bounce on over to the NBA.
Yeah, I'm in.
Minnesota Timberwolves are hosting the New Orleans Pelicans. The Pelicans 13-point dogs at the Howell tonight.
Yeah, guess who's not playing?
Well, that's what is Zion out of the mix?
Oh no, not that. Zion out of the mix, right, Con?
Well, okay. Sorry, Doogie. But Zion murders the Wolves every time they play.
He might play.
That's what it's felt like. 13 points sounds like a heavy spread. But that'll tell you the story, though. The 40-win Wolves battling to stay out of the play-in. They need this one here tonight. So beat on the Pelicans, hopefully, cover that 13 points. Let's see, Rudy and DiVincenzo and Ant and Randall Omai. But looking forward to hearing how that one pans out at Target Center this evening.
Anybody have a working cell phone number for Bub Carrington?
I always love that one.
I'd like to chat with him right now and see what he's doing out there, Salt Lake City way. There's one person enjoying this segment, and it's Darren Doogie Wolfson.
That's correct. That's News to Nord, which is always...
by the way, the Wild Kraken on the fan tonight.
Wild Kraken.
Yeah, you're playing so fast right now, you left out the game that's actually on our radio station.
I am sorry, State of Hockey.
No, it's because you're rooting against me, and all your chips are in on this fantasy basketball league. You're not paying attention to anything, and it's not going unnoticed.
Oh, big win for the Wild. We've been begging them to win at home, hockey team. Win at home, and the playoffs are assured. March, a big one, and tonight an opportunity. I think there was a 4-3 victory out west a week or so ago They have an opportunity to beat on the Kraken again. You got Buffalo on Saturday.
NCAA tournament brackets. I forgot something. Damn it. Longtime friend Trevor Winter, who used to play for the Gophers basketball team, played for the Wolves for a minute. That's right. His son plays for Wisconsin.
Oh.
Well, I got to elevate. I mean, at least I'm winning one game.
Yeah, we got to go Scotty. Scotty into the Sweet 16. Just like Wisconsin, at least they always get to the Sweet 16, it feels like.
Trev, Patrick, Heidi. Win one game, and then in the second game you lose, but son has 34. And then that's a perfect equation.
It's kind of cool. You're a little bit older than I am, but even I feel this now as a fan at 40, where it's like I know Trevor Winter as a player, and now you hear about these players' sons and daughters that are playing in high-level sports.
Yeah.
It's just kind of cool as you get older to make those connections there.
Hell yeah. Let's make a connection with Alec Lewis from The Athletic and theathletic.com. He'll be coming into the 651 Carpets Plus Studios. Next, it's 11 o'clock in the neighborhood. The neighborhood is FM 100.3 KFAN.